Good morning everyone, welcome to Broyans Farm. If you've seen the end of my last video, you'll know that I got all these trays prepped and I'm gonna start seeding them today. Mom is down there about 3/4 of the way through the greenhouse. She's starting to put hangers on our baskets now and putting the drippers in. So we have these poles that go down each section of the greenhouse. And on each pole, we have I'll call it a header line attached. That way we can have our drippers hang off of them and we can hang our hanging baskets right to them. And so right now she's hanging the fuchsias. They're very tiny yet and they might have to be trimmed, but we needed the space and we gotta get them out of our way. So she's putting that water line in there just like that, right in the center, hanging it up there, and that's basically all it takes. But it's taking her some time because like I said, she's gotta put each hanger on every basket. And then we just got these hooks that make it easier so we can grab them instead of getting a ladder for every single one. And that's all it takes right there. Unlike the drippers that are in all of our 4.5-inch pots that you see me spacing, which is what they look like right here, you either push it in or pull it out. If you pull it out, it's gonna let water come out. If you push it in, no water will come out. And there is no pressure regulation on that. So what's gonna happen is all the water is just gonna come out all at once. And sometimes it may not be even, especially if you're attaching your hose up there and then you're running a line all the way down to here. Sometimes this guy won't be putting out as much water as that one up there because, you know, it's pushing the water out of those ones first. But these are a lot different and are a lot better. These are what's called pressure regulated. I think it all has to happen in this little part right here. And so what happens is none of these are gonna start shooting out water until the whole line is pressurized with the same amount of pressure, which makes it really nice. That way, they're all getting watered the exact same and you don't have to worry about one being a lot heavier than the other. The only problem I found with these is that this little weight at the bottom seems to want to crack off, and they're not that expensive. I can't exactly remember how much they are, but it's a nuisance. Then we have to go back and replace them, and we've only had them in there for about 2 years. So you can put those other lead ones in with no problems at all, but you know, your water isn't going to be as regulated. You can put these in, but you are going to need to plan on replacing them because you can never get all the water out of that header line, and sometimes it'll bust it off up there. Sometimes this little part down here will rot off just because of the sun. So there is going to be some maintenance, but that's just something you need to deal with. So it's actually about 2 days later. I'm getting back in here to the greenhouse. I was in here yesterday at all. We had a very rainy day. I don't know exactly how much rain we got, but I'm excited to see how much the seedlings grew because that's always my first exciting thing to do. I'm expecting the onions in the back right to be up at least a little bit. Salvia really came around. I was actually getting nervous about that, and the celery is doing awesome too. That didn't do good for us at all last year, but we got new seed. And I think that really made a change. Yep, these onions are just starting to come up. Probably take these out of the seed room tomorrow, I would assume. You can see that there. And then over here, these are the onions I just seeded the other day, so I don't expect those to be up really. What I'm starting out with today though is mixing up some fertilizer, which will be the first time for me for the year. This is gonna be a 17-4, if you can read that, 150 parts per million. And this is gonna be for everything around the greenhouse now. Any pots, I think we'll probably do hanging baskets, all that kind of stuff. 17-4 is just a good all-around fertilizer. You don't really have to like be careful about what you water with it because it doesn't really affect or hurt anything. It makes everything a little bit bushier, you know, keeps it nice and healthy, keeps the leaves nice and green, but it won't really make it stretch like 15, 16, 17 fertilizer will do. Later on in the season when the plants are bigger, we'll move it up to like 200 parts per million. But just because the plants aren't real big right now, we think it just might be a little bit too much for them. I'm actually gonna mix up 2 different buckets right now of 17-4, one with 150 parts and then one with 100 parts. And the 100 parts is only going to be for the seedlings, just because they're very tiny and we think 150 will be too much for them little guys. So in the shed here, you can see we have a brand new bag there, but we might have older from last year. I want to get that used up. That's 15, 16, 17. That's 13.2. There's all different kinds of fertilizers out there, but I would say probably our main top three we use here in our greenhouses are 17.4, 17, 15, 16, 17, and I think it's 18, 6, 18. I don't know, I kind of forgot from last year, but I gotta get back in the groove again. And all of those do something a little bit different. Some, you know, make the plant grow faster. Some just keep it nice and green and bushy. Other ones are only for specific plants. And I'll get into that later in the season, but for right now, you just need to know that 17.4, 17 is just a great all-around fertilizer. Gonna need a couple tools. I'm gonna need a scale, a measuring cup, and well, I already have the 5-gallon bucket out there. So I got my scale. On every bag, it'll have instructions. So 50, 100, and 200. For 50, you'd wanna put, in our injector is 1 to 100. So let's just say if we were doing 50, I'd be putting in 3.97 ounces of fertilizer for each gallon of water. Okay, so I'm gonna mix up around 2-3 gallons. I'm gonna do 150 parts. So 100 is 7.94 and 200 is 15.88. So that's gonna mean for 150 parts, I'm just gonna need right under 12 ounces of fertilizer. So I will get my scale turned on here. Gotta put it to ounces. Tear that. And now I'll put my 12 ounces in. Now I actually forgot that is for 1 gallon. I'm gonna just do 2 gallons, I guess, make it simple. And so I'm gonna now need another 12 ounces. Okay, so that bucket's done. Now I'm gonna mix up for my 1 gallon of 100 parts per million. Sadly, we don't have hot water up here at our greenhouse, and the fertilizer will dissolve much better with hot. So I'm gonna run down here to the barn, get my exact measurements of water into this bucket, then I can come up, get it stirred up, and we can start fertilizing. All right, so I'm gonna start with the seedlings first. Got my suction line in there. As you can see, it's already feeding up through. The main water comes out of our hydrant, comes in here. Usually we'll bypass this if we're just regular watering. So we'll have these two shut off and we'll go up and over, which this will be on, and then we'll come right out and water like that. But now we have the main bypass shut off, and now we're going right through the dosatron. It goes through here. I don't know exactly how it works, but there's like some sort of flapper that goes up and down. It sucks the fertilizer up through and then shoots it back out the line. And I have to run it outside first, just so that I can get it all the way through the line before I start watering and don't have any fertilizer in there. So I'll actually take my cup, rinse it out so there's no blue in there. And then I can test if the fertilizer is already through it or not. Which actually might be. It looks like it's pretty blue.
One thing I did want to mention that's actually really important is if you are starting your own greenhouse or doing anything of that sort, you should really get your water tested. It'll tell you what you have in it, and that really tells you what kind of fertilizers you should be using on your plants. Like I said, 17.417 is still and usually is an all-around great fertilizer, but you know, you might have a lot of those nutrients or whatever that may be in your water, and you need something different to help out whatever you're planting. So just do your research and go off that. I can tell you what works for me, but that's not always going to work for you.
So it is now the next day. This video's been going on for like 3 or 4 days now, one of the longest I've done in a while. And I am actually wearing a short sleeve shirt, as you can see, and shorts. Today's gonna get up to like almost 70 degrees, which is the warmest day I think we've had all season. And it is just beautiful out. So definitely gonna take advantage of it. Sammy's gonna be coming because she's off all week from school for spring break. And I don't even know, possibly my Graham Huffman, Pat Broyan could be coming to start seeding because we're gonna open up number 2 today, start hauling stuff over there. So kind of gonna be a pretty big day. Dad's going right over the hill now with the skid loader. He's getting a round bale for the cows. I see Daisy, I don't know where Lily's at. We just had a bunch of rain yesterday, so everything's kind of wet. There's Lil. Good morning, Dace. Look, they've been running. So I moved the onions over to number 2 here first thing. These are the candy that we just planted not long ago. You can see they're just coming up, and they're the Great White and Sweet Spanish that we planted on 2/24, which is about a week ago, a little over a week ago. And so now Sammy just got here. I'm working on filling pots, the 6.5s for sunflowers. We have 4 trays, and she's almost finished with her first one, which was the 5th tray. And then she's putting them right on the waters. Not that we're gonna use them right away, but they're already ready to go then when we wanna start to use them. And then once I get ahead of her, I'm filling big planters for Mom. I got 6 done. Got 2 more of the round ones here to go, and then I have these big long ones. For some reason, these black ones did not come with holes, so I actually got to go get my drill bit and drill holes in them because you do need the water to drain down through if there's too much in there. And I think I just heard Dad pull in with the Kubota. He was sanitizing our tables that we use for the garlic back in the summertime. Yeah, he's just over there, over top, backing in right now. I don't know if it was Big Lots or what store it was that was going out of business. And I went one day and bought all these tables for like 200 bucks, which was like a steal. What? It was Kmart, Sammy just said. And so these tables just work really nice. That's what they had in their greenhouses, and now we're using them in ours. And so we're gonna lay them all out right here, and then it just keeps the plants up off the ground and gives them more air.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, and you?
I'm good, thank you.
Are you running anything through the hose or not?
We used to put 3 sunflowers in a pot, but like 2 or 3 years ago, I changed it to only 2, just because it's too much in one pot. These sunflowers get pretty big, they crowd themselves out, and then they just don't do as good. We grow these in a completely different tray than we do everything else, just because they need more dirt, because they're just a lot bigger plant.
I'll take that. Hi, honey.
Then I'll water it. Just add some moisture. So just like the fertilizing, he's doing the oxidate the same way, running it right through the dosatron, and then out the hose. Hello. So now Sammy's finishing up filling the pots, or the planters for Mom. We ran out of 6.5 inch pots. We gotta run over to the shed and get more. But we're gonna go for lunch. So we figured we'll just finish up here with what we got. Mom's over in number 1 here fertilizing.
With the fertilizer I mixed up yesterday. With it being so cloudy, the plants didn't really use much water, so they didn't have to water much. But now today, with it being so sunny and hot, everything's drying out. She's got a lot of the hangers on. The plants are finally starting to take hold now, and they're bushing out really nice. Nice and healthy.
We rolled our dirt cart over to number 1.
We're starting to do the seed geraniums now. All different varieties, all different colors. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 trays done here. That's 60. And then she's working on another 30 there. I think there's probably around 500 because we have not only this flat, but another flat. A lot of times when something is this small, we'll pull it out and we'll plant it in a 1206. But for the past few years, Mom has been, put that right there, Sammy. Mom has been just putting them right into pots, the 4.5 to be specific, and it's turned out just fine, and it saves us a whole step. So that's what we're gonna do again, and hopefully it all turns out okay.
So it's getting later in the day. We got around 250 pots done or something close to that. And so that's probably what we're gonna call it for today. Tomorrow I think is gonna be a really big day for transplanting. I actually prefer, I think I said it in my other videos, when it's gonna be cloudy and rainy. It's just not so hot to work in the greenhouses, and that's what it's gonna be like tomorrow. So hopefully, we already contacted my grandma and pap, they should be coming. Sammy's gonna be coming later in the day. And myself, Mom, and Dad will probably be here all day. So hopefully tomorrow a lot is gonna get done. But that's what I'm gonna call it a wrap for this video. As always, thank you guys for watching. And always remember, it ain't much, but it's honest work.